Council saying.
Did you say 50 people are going to court over the 7 months?
Yes, finally.
You need to bring us that story later.
Yes, I surely will.
Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, banking reforms is yielding results. The president is saying that, and government to review passport fees upwards soon. This according to the Foreign Affairs Minister. When they start delivering the service, they review the fees upwards. And there's also the Shatawale story on the front page. You talk about Jan, right? His return to the Black Stars after presidential intervention. It's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times too.
Yeah. So go to our first story now. Here, a boy has been shot dead at Agromanya.
Yes, in the very melee that ensued between the customers of the PDS and the PDS workers and police on the other side.
The Lower Maya Krobo story.
Brilliant. So the actual place is Agomenya.
Okay.
Agomenya is where the incident happened.
Okay.
Because a small town around Agomenya, that is where the people went to do the mass disconnection. So eventually, an entire town, small one, was actually left without electricity. Now, this has history. We do recall that in 2017. People started complaining about having extraordinarily high electricity bills, and that they did not understand why they were not doing anything, and yet the people were not giving them the right bills. Indeed, it became some back and forth with the institutions there. Then ECG, not PDS, and then ECG officials said that they couldn't go into that township because the people threatened. Because the people had done like 3 different demonstrations, bent ties, and were threatening mayhem in all the forms that they were supposed to do so. What's surprising is that within all the years of talk, nothing really happened until the people said, let's go back. Now we have PDS. And PDS are backing on some drive to make sure they retrieve monies and also make sure that people who have been illegitimately using electricity don't continue in that particular phase.
Which is what was expected of them.
Brilliant. So this is what led their officers into that township, putting off the entire township's power.
Because they owed.
Yes, because they've been owing for a very long time.
Okay.
The argument of the residents is that we've been owing because we've been debating you over the actual bills, and you've not been bringing us updated ones. So proud to you bringing us updated ones. Why do you come and put off the power in this case? So that's what led to the struggle. The struggle led to, in fact, it was men, women all over the place. First, they were using stones. When the police came, they were still throwing the stones at the police officers, and some of the police officers discharged their firearms, and one person has been confirmed dead in this.
I understand this, but I saw the picture.
This is a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And apparently he was not in the thick of affairs, as in he was just a bystander.
Was hit by stray bullets.
Yes, so he was not one of those who were heavily protesting, according to the report by the Ghanaian Times.
Do we know if it's only the police who were brandishing weapons and firing?
That is what the report says, according to the Ghanaian Times. It says that the people were carrying stones.
And
because
the police were firing
because first they were dealing just with the PDS workers.
Okay.
Who had no weapons.
Village got involved.
Yes, so it became a bigger confrontation with it.
What are the protocols for firing warning shots? And how do we make sure that the shots don't hit people? Malik, do you remember that during the Mandina and Denta riot, again, there was also a small boy who was hit by a bullet, and the person was sitting in a car. Remember that one?
Absolutely. And repeatedly it's been said that the police are not supposed, sometimes they are supposed to use rubber bullets, and they are not supposed to fire at people, but occasionally
again this is a report.
The crowd control element has always been sometimes problematic.
You see, and let me just say that this is the reports we are getting here, that only the police were carrying weapons. So we can safely assume from this report that this stray bullet came from a police a weapon. But then again, what is the protocol there? If the people are not carrying weapons, what do you need to carry? How do you control them and keep their life safe?
Anyway, according to our laws, even stones can be offensive weapons, and the use of same is regulated by law. So in a confrontation like that, stones, and it's stated that categorically, can be an offensive weapon, and the use of it is properly regulated by law.
It's very important that we keep this, Malik, especially when we are going into the election 2020.
Yes. So we are going into the election, and the Electoral Commission, the elections governing body, is assuring that the elections will be watertight. In fact, there won't be any leakages at all.
We want airtight, not even air should come out.
Okay. I think we should send the advice to the
It's just a matter of words. Let's go.
Yes, but the issue, and she's continuing this with her tour of media houses.
Okay.
She's consulting with media houses and seeking partnerships. The first port of call was a multimedia group. We had meetings with her 2 days ago where she laid out a robust plan by the Electoral Commission to reinvigorate the institution so that they can conduct free, fair, credible elections. She's continuing with that mantra. She's saying the EC is doing all the things that it ought to do. This is to quote Raymond Akwa, who likes to say that. It's doing all the things that it ought to do to ensure that the security of the state remains intact. They recognize that elections can be a basis for conflagrations in countries, and we have seen these things happen across the
because
continent.
Conflagrations cannot be countenanced.
Yeah.
It's a very, very conflagration kind of morning, don't you think?
So she says that one of the things she dealt with was ROPA. And in a meeting here as well, ROPA came out. Is the EC able to finally implement the Representation of the People's Amendment law, which requires Ghanaians living abroad to vote or enables them to vote? They are unable to give a certain answer. They say they are doing consultations, broad consultations, to ensure that they seal all the loopholes.
But they've been given the deadline by the court, right?
Just that the court gave them 12-month extension to implement the law, and which expires in April 2020. And from April 2020, they will have a few months before the elections. Will they have gathered all the logistics that they need to be able to implement the law? They are unable to state. They said they will submit the report to Parliament and they will make their budget. If the funding is made available, why not? They will do it. But on IPAC issues, they are trying to meet the political parties as they continue to address all the problems raised by the political parties so that there won't be any major complaints going into the elections 2020.
Well, how do you address the problem of trust is what I want to say, because it looks like clearly the opposition party has stated repeatedly that they do not trust the stance of Madam Jean Mensa. Anyway, it's a tough one. I'm sure that she can manage that. Raymond, let's come to another tough issue. Shatta Wale and Stonebwoy.
Yes, yesterday they were granted bail, each with some bail bond of 50,000 Ghana cedis. Now, one interesting development in courts, at the Ajabin court, was that the gentlemen who are deemed to be rivals in Ghanaian, and it's interesting we mentioned Ghanaian reggae dancehall music, but I mean they are rivals in that particular space. They share the same dock, so when they have to put them in the dock, there you can't do rivalry. You know the judge who sang to Kenneth Japan and said Obiawa the master.
Oh, okay.
Not that judge. I'm saying that the people have to virtually be put in the same dock and say, gentlemen, see, you are both accused. Stay in that particular.
And they saw their real size.
Yeah, if you're a man, you redistribute your position in that particular.
At least that's one thing they have in common, because you know Shatta Wale is also a high life musician. So it's still more.
At the same time.
Professor Collins disagrees with the claim, but now the understanding here is that the two, of course, we know that Shatta Wale has been charged with offensive conduct conducive to breach of peace, and Stonebwoy is facing another charge. He's also facing the same of offensive conduct, but also facing another charge of displaying weapon in public place without permission. And no, I told you, was it yesterday, that the displaying the weapon is a more serious charge compared to the offensive conduct conducive to breach of peace.
You took us to court.
Or is it law school? Because he was reading the law.
Yes, and I also brought up the fact that, I mean, ordinarily, the arms law punishes you up to 12,000 or 5 years in jail for breaching the law and conditions of grant of license and use of guns. But the act of displaying and discharging a firearm in public being prohibited actually can make you spend almost 3 years in jail. So they both said they were not guilty of the charges leveled against them. And so that's why they were given the bail. They are supposed to continuously stay with the case, come consistently for the case to be dealt with. Somewhere in June, the next hearing will be done. Now, the understanding we also have is that today is Thursday. Today is the day the two gentlemen who were told by the boss of Charterhouse would have been, one of them would have been the artist of the year, and the other one would have had the most popular song of the year. And indeed, today is the day they will know their fate, whether or not they'll still be giving these. So they are going to announce the artist of the year today. Yes.
But if they have ended, what could happen
Yes, because I mean they take
No,
that
No,
is
it could be
your
taken.
conduct.
Yeah, it could be taken from them.
on
Yeah.
account of.
It's just like investor guarantee certificate. If you misbehave, you can take it back. Yeah.
Don't tempt anybody to mention names of persons whose
have
certificates have been
misbehaved.
withheld.
I'm not going
I'm
there.
sure I'm sure
Yes.
none of the 50 directors of the 7 banks are.
No.
They have a different set of problems.
No, they have a different set of problem. Now, the receivers of the 7 failed banks say they have started legal proceedings against 50 directors and shareholders of these banks for their roles in the collapse of the banks. And we know the receivers are Mrs. Ni Amano Dudu of KMG, there's Vesha Shiagbo and
You mean
Eric
KPMG?
Nipa. What did I say? KPMG? What
Yes,
did I
yes.
say?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, so Vesha Shiagbo and Eric Nipa of PricewaterhouseCoopers, they are also pursuing some 31,000 customers of the failed banks to recover more than 10 billion in loans and advances that were made to them. If you look at the story that the Daily Graphic brought to us, out of all the 7 banks, Unibank has the highest number of defaulting customers of 26,558 with a debt of 4.6 billion Ghana
body.
cedis. That's Unibank. And the rest of the banks actually are Unibank, UT Bank, Capital Bank, the Royal Bank, the Construction Bank, Beige Bank, and the Heritage Bank. These are the banks whose directors and shareholders are being pursued by the receivers in respect of roles that they played.
And there are 50 of them.
Yes, and there are 50 of them.
Do you know their names?
No, they haven't mentioned the names of the persons involved here, but we know that
We have given the names here before.
We know that a special investigative team set up to probe the financial crimes in the country has also referred many of the dockets relating to these persons to the
Okay.
Attorney General's Department for Prosecution, and that is still ongoing as well.
But like Raymond said, we know a few of those names. And
Yeah,
we can furnish you with them if you like. For free. You know.
Propaganda.
Anyways, Malik, let's move quickly from that one, okay? And we will go to
Stay with
the courts, right? But special courts this time.
Yes, special court for Malik's matters of what they call it, the retrieval of monies from these directors and other people related to the collapse of banks. You know, the Bank of Ghana governor complained about the very slow pace at which we are getting the monies from the people who helped the banks collapse, leading to some 10 billion debt. So far, we have retrieved 731 million out of the 10 billion, and the rate of retrieval suggests that it may take us almost more than 10 years to get all the monies. That's if you are going to get anything close to that. Now, the complaints of the Bank of Ghana that 50 cases have been filed in our attempts to retrieve money from these people. The response from the Chief Operations Officer of Delex Finance, Mr. Joe Jackson, is that stop lamenting and ask the Chief Justice to set aside specific courts to deal with this. So instead of the cases being put together in the financial courts with the other cases, separate them. Set up like 5 specific courts, like we have done in other sectors, to deal specifically with this and the retrieval of amounts in this case.
Sometimes you even realize, Raymond, that when they give them the special courts, they are not that utilized. Remember the financial courts?
That's true. So
That's the point.
just make sure that there are specific courts. That's what Joe Jackson is saying, and that because you know that justice is being remarkably slowly given, you need to fast pace it, give hope to people, and also the more you delay all of this, people get agitated about whether or not they are getting their monies. Workers, for example, and also the other groups who are putting money into this establishment. Even government is losing cash in the process.
And a special courts will not be a bad idea, but then again, let's use them, and bring back the soldiers. Who is asking?
Yes. Kwesi Alfred Adams of the Chronicle newspaper is reporting from your home region of Takrady that some mining companies operating in the country
just made me smile.
met
Go ahead.
met with the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Kweku Asuma Treme, last week Friday to complain about the withdrawal of soldiers from their mining sites as directed by cabinet some time ago. You know that when the government formed the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining to fight Galamsey and all of that, the cabinet then decided that it was not useful to keep soldiers in, because the committee actually involved soldiers as well. It was not useful to keep these soldiers who were protecting mining companies, and these are licensed mining companies, so they withdrew them. The mining companies are saying that withdrawal has had a very negative impact on them because all their concessions have been invaded by illegal miners in spite of the fight against the menace, and they are losing their concessions. Now, according to the story, the acting general manager of Adamus Mining Company in Elimbele told the what was his name, Ibrahim Halilu Muhammad, he told the board members of the Minerals Commission led by Mr. S.K. Boafu, Samson Kweku Boafu, that illegal miners had invaded his concession. Even though they ceded part of their concession to the illegal miners, they left that and they are invading the rest of the concession they have. And when their security persons attempted to stop them, they were slashed with cutlasses.
Wow.
Yes. While the minister says that since cabinet took the decision, he has to go back to cabinet to reverse it and then to post soldiers to the mining areas.
Malik, this is also a picture of how far the fight against illegal mining, which is Galamsey, has come. And if mining companies want soldiers to protect them from violent illegal miners, it means that we have more work to do in that regard.
And we know that the communication manager of a mining company actually died when they were chasing illegal miners from their concessions.
May his soul rest in peace. Raymond, how have we lost $14 million to 6 mining companies?
Yes, this is because, according to this investigation group in iWatch Africa, the 6 mining companies have failed to pay dividends to Ghana, depriving the state of that $40 million as of October 2018. The basis of this is that Section 43, I'm sure, of the Minerals and Miners Act 2000, Act 732, says that Ghana has 10% carried interest in all mining companies registered under the Companies Act of 1993. The companies are required to submit on annual basis the required returns of to the Registrar General's Department, as well as conduct an annual assessment and submit same to the Ghana Revenue Authority. So they've not done this. That is why the Auditor General is actually questioning why government doesn't have representation on the boards when you have 10% in these companies. So it mentions specifically the companies of Chirano, Adamus, Goldfields, Aboso, and also Perseus Mining, Ghana Manganese, and Ghana Bauxite. Of course, it says, although in certain instances they declare profit, they fail to transfer the dividend attributable to the government. In this particular case,
to $14 million.
That's the $40 million we are talking about in this case.
That can do wonders for us as a nation. But thanks, Raymond, for bringing us those details. We are going online, and the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and GOIL Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from GOIL, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. GOIL Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you are guaranteed extra quality with our fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of GOIL's over 360 service stations nationwide and experience good energy. Buy GOIL, grow Ghana. GOIL Good Energy. GOIL Yenara Yedia. Now go light with Zenith Bank and have dinner on us at the Plush African Regent Hotel. Now, isn't that exciting? To enjoy this offer, simply use any MasterCard to make a minimum purchase of 500 Ghana cedis on a Zenith Bank POS at the African Regent Hotel and be rewarded with a free dinner or a discount of 100 Ghana cedis on other meal options. Visit the African Regent Hotel today. Use any MasterCard on a Zenith Bank POS and have dinner on us. Go light with Zenith Bank. Pay light. Zenith Bank in your best interest. There's an interesting infographic on our social media and on myjoyonline.com of 4 times Black Stars players retired, then came back. It talks about Kevin Prince Boateng, Asamoah Gyan, the Ayew brothers, and Asamoah Gyan again. Don't lose your identity. Chief Executive of Vodafone, Patricia Obonai, is charging brands. Here, the BBC.com has anti-corruption squad raids Kenya governors' properties. Anti-corruption squad raids Kenya governors' properties. That's on the BBC.com. Guys, listen to this.
Finance wrote to GRA granting the exemption and then assessed the exemption at 36,000. Then we gave the money to an agent to go and clear it. When the agent got to the port, they told him that the assessment by finance was wrong and that it was 6,000. So he paid 6,000 and brought the balance back. So I'm surprised that he still will charge me with an offense.
And that's Mahama Ayariga responding to the charges leveled against him by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Interesting days in Ghana. Anyway, we take these important messages. We'll be right back.